I want to talk about the recent NBA draft. I'm going to do so with the first overall pick by the Cavaliers. He averaged 16 points and 8 rebounds a game at UNLV. He was the Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year, first Canadian to be selected number 1 overall. I am joined by Cavalier Anthony Bennett. Anthony, nice to have you on. How are you?
I'm all right. Yourself?
Man, I'm great. It's good to have you. Hey, take me back. When David Stern announced your name as the first pick in the NBA draft, exactly what went through your mind?
Just excitement. A lot of different emotions. I'll say I was happy. I was shocked. Mostly excited, but, you just got to thank God for everything.
All right, so you said after we're picked, quote, I'm just as surprised as anybody else. I mean, where did you think you were going to go in the draft?
I heard I was going to go anywhere from 2 to 6, 2 to 8 maybe. But, I always had an idea that some people were going to go number 1. My name was in the mix, but I never knew, it would actually come through.
Anthony Bennett, my guest. In the hours leading up to that draft, there was some talk that you might fall, and not just out of the number 1 spot, but maybe all the way down to number 8 or even lower. Was your agent keeping you up to date about those reports, and what did he tell you? Or maybe did he just try to keep you clear of it?
He just didn't want my head to get big, so he was just telling me, everything's going to be all right. If you fall down to number 8, it'll still be a good choice. I can still, do my work there, but he was just making sure my head was on straight.
Yeah, were you buying that, or were you thinking to yourself, man, if I fall down to number 8, that's not going to be a good thing at all. That's going to kind of suck.
No, I feel like I can fit any system. Number 8, I think, what was that, Detroit? I think if I play there, it'll be it'll be good for me. But, I'm just happy to be number 1 at Cleveland.
No, that's exactly it. You're not 8, you're number 1. Now, a lot of the concerns seem to be maybe about your weight and about the surgery you had on a torn rotator cuff. Update me on that. How is your shoulder right now, and when do you expect to be 100%?
Right now, my shoulder, is in the strengthening process. Just doing light weights, trying to get the motion back. They said I should be back 100% in August. The first week of August, so it's not too bad.
Anthony Bennett's my guest. When you were asked about why you thought Cleveland liked you as much as they did, one of the things you said was it's your work ethic. You're known as a guy that really puts in time and works hard. How much of that comes from your mother, Edith? Tell me about her. She worked 2 full-time nursing jobs while you were growing up. So how much of that work ethic comes from her, and what was she like working that hard?
It was just hard for waking up like around 6, 7, and then coming back from work like around 11, 12. So I just seen that day in and day out, So I just felt like that's something I have to do too, how hard she worked, just to support for everybody. And I feel like now it's my time to do that.
Yeah, and that's really something. I mean, she's up at 6 o'clock in the morning and not coming home until 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. I mean, you see something like that, it seems to me you're going to do everything you possibly can to pay her back. Do you have anything in mind when you get that first paycheck? What are you going to do for
her? Anything she wants, man. I'm going to ask her, too, if there's anything that she wants specifically. And then, I'm just going to go from there.
What did she say? Do you think she wants anything in particular?
I'm not sure. I'm open with anything, so if she asks for it, she might get it.
Anthony Bennett's my guest. You went first overall. It's something you said recently that you didn't really take basketball seriously until about 6 or 7 years ago. What were you into before that, and what changed for you?
I was just hanging out with friends. I didn't really play any sports, any other sport, I should say. I was just hanging out with friends, going to school, just have fun, basically. But, once I started going, everybody was like, hey, you should start playing basketball. And that's when I started to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, maybe I'll do this. And everybody's like, yeah, you should do that. That's a really good idea. You should probably do that. So
it really is.
You come from UNLV, so Anthony, the comparisons are there to Larry Johnson, but you've also been compared to Zach Randolph as well. I mean, in your opinion, who do you pattern your game after?
I heard Larry Johnson was a good comparison for me. I around the same height. You know, he works hard. I work hard. He's athletic, great player overall. And he's from, and also we have the same birthday, I heard. So, it's also a pretty great comparison.
Hey, what was it like there? I mean, it's a different program. It's a different town. And back in the day, man, it was almost like, and trust me, I went to a school that was in that conference, and when UNLV came into our building, it felt like it was the NBA. For you, what was it like to play at UNLV? Because they're trying to get that vibe back.
It's great, actually. I've been there for 3 years, 2 at Finley Prep and 1 at UNLV. And, throughout the whole time I was there was a lot of fans supporting, whether they're Finley Prep fans or, Rebel fans. I always used to see them. And, they just stuck with it through the whole year, through ups and downs. Everybody came to our games, still supporting and still packed the mat. So it was just a great atmosphere.
Anthony Bennett's my guest. He was the first overall pick by the Cavaliers. We have a few more moments with him. If there's been any criticism of your game, Anthony, it's been your intensity on defense. I know you've heard that before. What's your response to that criticism?
I think that an area I definitely need to work at. But, being in Cleveland, with my Coach Brown, I just feel like that's one thing I'm going to have to work on, defense, or else I'm not playing, So I feel like once I get there, I'm back 100%. That's one thing I'm going to focus on.
Anthony Bennett's my guest. Let me ask you this. I mentioned this in the open. You are the first Canadian to be selected number 1 overall. We have a number of stations, Anthony, in Canada. I know there are a lot of listeners that are interested in your response to this. What's it mean to you to be the first Canadian to be selected number 1 overall?
It means a lot. It's truly an honor. Like you said, I'm the first person to do it. I went down in history. Years after this, people are going to be like, hey, he's Anthony Bennett. He's the first Canadian to go number 1. That's just a main thing I really take pride in.
Let me ask you something. It's maybe a microcosm of other things, but even on this show, because we have listeners in Canada and we have listeners in America, really dumb trash talking goes on. I try to break up the two sides, but inevitably it goes on. I would imagine you've heard pretty much everything being a Canadian baller on the floor. Do you hear those types of things? And if so, what do you hear?
Nah, most people don't even know I'm Canadian when I'm playing, so we just like to, go back and forth, just play the game of basketball and basically have fun and try and win.
Good. Glad to hear it. One more thing. We have a station in Cleveland as well. So there are listeners there that are probably curious about it. It's an extremely proud sports town, but they've been through a lot of heartbreak. As the number 1 pick, there's going to be a lot expected of you there. Is that the kind of pressure that you try to embrace? Do you try to ignore it? How are you going to approach it as you go to Cleveland?
I just feel like there's no pressure at all, actually. Yes, it is a big stage. Yes, there's a lot of great competition out there. I just feel like at the end of the day, it's basketball. Everybody's human. Nobody can do anything like fly out the gym or something, So I just feel like it's the game of basketball. You just got to go out there with a clear mind and have fun.
All right, then. Anthony Bennett, number 1 pick overall. The Cavaliers get him, played his college ball at UNLV. Anthony, good to have you on the show. Thank you for doing that. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Good to talk to you. First Canadian to be selected number 1 overall.